How 6,000 Scots defeated 20,000 English. The incredible story of Bannockburn, 1314. June 1314. The Scottish Highlands. A small army of hungry, poorly equipped. On one side, 6,000 Scots under Robert the Bruce, the king without a kingdom. On the other, 20,000 English soldiers, including the most feared heavily armored knights on the continent. The English are superior in numbers, equipment, and experience. A Scottish victory seems impossible. Yet in 2 days, one of the greatest military upsets of the Middle Ages will unfold here. This is the story of Bannockburn. The legendary William Wallace had tried to resist, but he too ended up on the gallows, drawn and quartered. But then Robert the Bruce entered the stage, a Scottish nobleman with a claim to the crown. In 1306, he murdered a rival in a church, a sacrilege that nearly cost him everything. But instead of fleeing, he had himself crowned King of Scotland. The English laughed. A king without land, without an army, excommunicated by the church. But Bruce did not give up. Year after year, he recaptured castle after castle. He waged a guerrilla war, avoided open battles, wore down the English occupiers. By 1314, he controlled almost all of Scotland. Only one important fortress still held out: Stirling Castle. Stirling was the key to Scotland. Whoever controlled Stirling controlled the main route between the Northern Highlands and the south. If no English army came to the rescue by the 24th of June, the castle would be surrendered. It was a trap, but not for the Scots. When King Edward II of England heard of this agreement, he had no choice. He could not allow such an important fortress to fall without a fight. It would be a humiliation. So he gathered the largest army England had assembled in years. 20,000 men, 2,500 heavy cavalry, the elite of English military power, 3,000 Welsh longbowmen whose arrows could pierce armor, and thousands of infantry. This army marched north, confident they would crush the Scottish rebellion once and for all. Robert the Bruce knew exactly what was coming, and he prepared. He chose his battlefield carefully. A narrow strip of land between the Bannockburn, a small river, and the dense forests of New Park. The English could not deploy their superior numbers here. Their cavalry could not outflank. Bruce had his men dig thousands of small holes, covered with branches and grass, invisible death traps for horses. He trained his soldiers in a formation called the Schiltron, circles of men bristling with 3-meter-long spears like human hedgehogs. Against cavalry, these formations were nearly impenetrable. Worried riding ahead of his troops, armed only with a battle axe mounted on a small horse. De Bohun saw his chance for glory. He lowered his lance and charged. The King of Scotland on his small pony rode toward one of the most feared knights in England. At the last moment, Bruce swerved aside. As De Bohun thundered past, Bruce stood in his stirrups and brought his axe down. The blow split De Bohun's helmet and skull in two. The axe handle shattered. Silence. Then the Scots roared. Their king had just killed an English champion in single combat. Morale soared. That night, the English commanders debated. Some wanted to wait, rest the troops. But King Edward was impatient. The deadline for Stirling was the next day. On the 24th of June at dawn, the English army advanced. They had to cross the Bannockburn and squeeze through the narrow terrain. He ordered the attack for the morning. It would prove to be a fatal mistake. The heavy cavalry led as always. They expected the Scots to flee, but the Scots did not flee. The Schiltrons held. The first wave crashed into a wall of spears. Fade with battle chaos visuals. Over 4,000 English dead. Bannockburn proved England was not invincible. If you love Unleashed History, like, comment, and subscribe.